Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen Scarlet Pimp Sunkiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe with a royale review this time. Went out of town, can't do it in my regular format, so it's gonna be just a review this time. And without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into this review for The Real Housewives of Atlanta season 14, episode 11, I believe so, whatever it's called, honey. It is Cabin Fever. Tisk, let's go ahead and get to the review. So we start out with our popcorn intros. We have the ladies all in the van after the dinner, and Marlo is re-expressing and reiterating how if Kenya doesn't come to the house, then she won't be able to participate. And then she reiterates it the next morning before they have breakfast and all of that. And we don't care because we know that Marlo is not really running anything but her mouth and right up behind Kenya, child. And in the meantime, in between time, we then have Marlo, Sheree, Drew, and Sanya twerking in the hallway, in the bathroom, and carrying on, getting their life, taking selfies and all that good stuff. And we got Kenzie and Sheree talking about lions, tigers, and bears that they say is around the house and around the area. Child, y'all best call Jasmine Sullivan, because she said she ain't scared. We then get Kenzie getting glammed up, and Sanya is on FaceTime with her mama, and Drew is talking to her husband, and Sheree looked like she could be texting for Tom. We ain't get no confirmation on who she was texting, but you see, Drew is up there mad concerned about whether or not Fatum is coming. So pretty much everybody is getting prepared for the day and everything that they may or may not have to expect. And what they are also wondering if they have to expect is if Kenya is coming. And that she is, darling. That she is. You see her down there getting prepared to walk through the front door. And this was giving me all types of Bad Girls Club vibes. The whole episode with, specificity on specific parts. And this is one of the parts that was definitely giving me Bad Girls Club, when somebody done got kicked out and a replacement is coming in. And you see the girls all in their respective corners and together wondering, who coming, child? Is she coming? What she look like? And then they see the cast pick and they like, oh, that bitch is here. Oh, she bad. Oh, she look mean. Oh, she look nice. Oh, she look weak. Oh, let's jump her. Like, that's what it was giving, honey. That's what it was giving. Even on the conversations about whether or not Fatum is coming and how is Marlo gonna react and all this, that, and the third, and the way that they shot Kenya walking up to the door and her at the door getting ready to walk in. Child, if it was Bad Girls Club, I would have been scared for her, because as soon as she would have opened that door, all of them would have bulldozed her down to the floor. Tisk! Child, but Kenya walks on in and gets to Drew's room first. And Drew is hella excited to see her. She gets off the phone and everything. And Kenya is all bubbly and jittery and everything. Like she had 3 cups of coffee and a cup of positive energy tea that morning and an edible. And she is all down Drew's robe, honey, trying to look at them tits. Show me them tits. Where are the tits? Bring me the tits. And me and Kenya are on the same page because I am always down to see the tits. And before Drew takes her out to meet and greet with everybody else, Kenya had to shade her about how their room was looking. So they get off into the hallway. And Drew is like, look who's here. It's Kenya. And baby, it's the white It's a void. And they get to shaking it and gyrating all over in the hallway for a bit. Everybody, well, them two, but everybody ends up being excited to see Kenya. Though it was bittersweet for Marlo, even though, she's excited to see Kenya because the obsession is real. And she walks over, tries to hug her. Kenya says hi and makes a beeline on up out of there. But then she does come back. She rejects the hug, but she stays there and she conjugates with the girls and Marlo for a little bit. And then she goes off around the house to, sightseeing what. She bypassed Monyetta. Monyetta is hella excited to see her. They have a ooh, ah, screaming girly type of moment. And Marlo goes off to be miserable with her makeup artist and her manager on the phone. And she completely plays victim and act like Kenya ain't say hey to her, ain't greet with her, acknowledge her at all. And acts like she is, well, I guess she is hella bothered by Kenya because she is actually the one with the bad case of can't take. And child, apparently she needs to give that delusional candle to her manager as well, because ain't no way her manager is standing up there telling her, I'm so glad that you're being the bigger person, and if she doesn't want to cooperate, then she just gonna have to get with it, then she just gonna have to get gone, and all of this other stuff. Goodbye. If you think Marlo is all of that, then you obviously don't know Marlo, or you drinking from the same delusional Kool-Aid ass candle that she has been. I'm not fixing to play with y'all. And then we flash over to where I have to get on Sanya and her big old head. Because I don't know if Karen from Potomac came over here and gave Sanya one of her candles to get high on or what. But Sanya was talking real stupid and real foolish this episode, and in particular in this scene, trying to convince Kenya that she needs to give Marlo the benefit of the doubt and some sympathy and some empathy because Marlo's just going through a tough time and she just really wants your support. She just really wants your what Marlo wants apparently is to have her head planted in Kenya's ass because she is obsessed. She wants a reason to be a victim. She wants a reason to fight. She just wants any little bit of attention and energy that she can get out of anybody for one, and specifically Kenya. Sanya, shut the entire fuck up because this is your first day. Okay? It's your first season, but you acting like it's your first day. You acting like you ain't seen none of the previous seasons, previous clips, heard none of the previous conversations that have been had about Marlo and Kenya and between Marlo and Kenya. So you got all of this sympathy and empathy for Marlo and her situation when she over there playing victim with them nephews. She kicked them boys out because she couldn't handle it, because she couldn't be selfish in peace. And you got more sympathy for her than you do when Kenya tells her story of how she relates and is triggered by the situation between Marlo and her nephews. Kenya tells her that she has some experience to be able to relate to how Marlo's nephews must feel, because when she was a child, her mama's side of the family tried to take her in, got, worked up and done up over it, and then wanted to take her back. And in the midst of trying to take her back, Kenya said, hell no, y'all know you, and hopped the fuck up out the car, tumbled and rolled on over to her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend house, whatever, what have you. Either way, it had to be an act of desperation and an act of trauma for her to do something like that. And should tell you how drastic the situation really is. And still, Sanya sat her big old head up there, looking and sounding stupid, still trying to talk up Marlo. And honestly, I feel like this is one of those cases, like I was saying about Shavray and Tyrone. relating to each other to a fault. This is where I feel like Sanya is relating to Marlo to a fault, because Sanya seems to have some resentment behind having her child in the first place. Sanya seems like, I don't want to say that she don't want her kid or that she resents her kid, but what I feel like is Sanya resents the process and certain elements of motherhood that she did not realize would come with being a mother. And one of those things is that she probably didn't expect for her husband not to be around as much as he was not around when she was pregnant with Deuce, had Deuce in the first couple of years of Deuce's life. And seems like to this day, she still does not have the presence and the hands-on support of her husband that she wished she had being a parent to Deuce. And for that reason, I feel like there is resentment surrounding her motherhood in general. And because of that, she is relating to Marlo to a fault. Therefore, she has more understanding as to why Marlo would kick her nephews out than she does behind Kenya's story. And I'm also feeling like Sanya is weak-minded when it comes to, what's the terms I'm looking for? I don't want to say strong personalities, because I don't think it's strong personalities in particular, because I feel like all these ladies have rather strong personalities. But when it comes to manipulative personalities, people who are very aggressively and passive aggressively manipulative, people that make other people responsible for their emotions. Because I noticed some of those characteristics in Sanya's mama and in their dynamic in the scenes that we've seen with Sanya and her mama. I noticed that Sanya's mama makes her kids responsible for her emotions, whereas if Sanya, expresses a simple emotion to her mama will then guilt trip her into feeling some type of way for simply just saying, what she wanted to say, as opposed to actually listening to what was said and just going with it. Am I making sense? Let me give a more specific example. When they were when they were griping about the meat patties in previous episodes, and saying it was like, dang, everybody ate the meat patty, y'all ate all the patties and this and that, da 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 da. And Sanya was just talking, she was just expressing, whatever. Like, she was just talking, she wasn't fussing at nobody or nothing, she was just talking. But her mama got in her feelings, like, yada, I don't want you making me feel bad. Girl, ain't nobody making you feel bad. That is how you feel, and you're making other people responsible for your emotions by not just saying that's how you feel. You want to make somebody else feel bad for how you feel instead of that just being how you feel. And that is exactly what Marlo does in general. And I feel like she's worked that manipulative magic on Sanya. And because Sanya is stuck in that type of cycle with her mama, it's very easy for her to get stuck in that type of cycle with somebody like Marlo. And it's bound to bite her in the ass, probably sooner than later. I even saw some of that with Ross, when Sanya was talking to Ross about her feelings about having another baby and how she really don't want to do that. And she was telling him the truth about, I feel, apprehensive about doing this because you have not been present as much as I have needed you to be and as much as I would like you to be. And Ross said, well, you making me feel unsupported. You making me feel like this. You making me feel. No, she's telling you the truth, and how you feel about that is just how you feel about that. Okay? And so, with all of that being said, because Sanya is in a habit of being responsible for other people's emotions, that's why she don't have the capacity to do anything else but sit up here and try to make Kenya responsible for Marlo's bullshit. And it's bullshit. And so Kenya basically tells her, look, I don't want nobody in my face trying to make me do nothing. I said what I said. It is what it is. Please leave me alone on the subject. And she walks off. And what does Sonya do? Sonya walks her ass on over to Sheree and has a little exchange with her about the conversation that she just had with Kenya, and then they beeline it over to Marlo so they can play bone carrier and bone carrier torch passer. And Sanya is giving messy and two-faced, and you becoming hard to defend, boo. And you looking real dumb. You looking real stupid because who you up here all up in the face of, praying with and for and all of that, trying to be a friend to, ain't no friend to you, ain't no friend to nobody. And Sanya takes herself over here and makes it seem like Kenya was just dragging Marlo through the mud. Like she was just going in, calling her all types of mommy dearesses and this, that, and the third, which was not the case. Kenya simply said, look, I'm not fooling with her. We done had our conversation. It is what it is. And quite frankly, I'm triggered by her, and this is why. And it was that. But Sanya gets her ass up in here saying that she's trying to play mediator and peacemaker, but she relays the conversation that she and Kenya had in a way that would make Marlo feel like Kenya was just in there ripping her to shreds and calling her everything but a child of God. And also as if she was saying something insulting about the boys. And so look here, I know you trying to get your check, Sanya. I know you's trying to get your camera time in all of the ways which you can get your camera time. But shout this ain't the way to do it. This is not the way to do it. Your first season. It's not giving because you are throwing a OG under the bus for somebody who just now got a peach, who's been a friend of the show for years and don't really have the best track record or the strongest fan base either. Like, what's the strategy behind this? So Marlo, of course, loves to play the victim, and she goes on her typical monologue about King's picking on me, and she's talking about my nephews, and she's a trash person, and they do this little makeshift prayer. Child, I simply cannot. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Marlo was like, how do Kenya even know that? And Sheree lets her know that she is the one that told her, but also Candy told her as well. So I guess that's gonna be a conversation that comes up. But Marlo starts to do this little ugly fake prayer, and this scene just really like turned me off so bad. And it's because a lot of people, and I ain't saying it's the people that's in this scene, but it's so crazy to me how a lot of people, black people in particular, will turn their nose up and have so much to say about spirituality, a black person with a rock, a black person with an incense, a black person with a headscarf, a black person with waist beads and all of that. But then you would then turn around and sit your African American ass up here and do these fake ass, mediocre ass prayers playing with God when you know that you Lucifer himself with a wig. And that's all I'm going to say to finish up this scene. Let's get to the rest of the foolishness. So Sheree gets downstairs and Kenya calls her over and is like, I gotta connect. Somebody's gonna be giving you a call tomorrow so you can discuss all the ins and outs and this, that's, and the thirds about your business so we can hurry up and get a ball rolling, get some things in motion, shaking and moving and whatnot. And Sheree, you ought to be ashamed of yourself because you just be doing all the right things for all the wrong people, making all the right moves in all the wrong places. Marlo invited you over to the house for something that was for you, right? And you end up coming out of pocket $12,000. But y'all have so much shit to say about Candy and Kenya And they the ones down here with business connects and advice and enthusiasm and support for you and your business that, like Candy said, is one of the biggest brands with no product. Tisk. Tisk. And Sheree is really just looking and sounding and seeming like, the cousin that comes to all of the family events, and everybody is always like, oh, what you doing now? What you doing now? What you doing with your life now? And that person kind of doesn't have much to say, just kind of looking around like twiddling their thumbs. Oh yeah, I do no work on here. I just I'm an entrepreneur, and there's no shade to entrepreneurs and whatnot. And sometimes people have careers, like especially if you're an artist or whatever. Certain people have careers where it's hard to define with just one term, and so it's easier to say entrepreneur. No, actually, that's also the name for it, entrepreneur. But in Sheree's case, it's given a whole lot of, I make a bunch of flyers for events that never happen. And so, like I said, I really like scenes like this because it shows women, black women in particular, extending olive branches to each other, extending real support and helping each other help themselves, help each other. And I love it. So, Kenya and Candy both give, kind of their personal stories with their business process and the ups and the downs and everything. And both of them are just really stressing to her, like, don't sit up and try to do everything yourself. Don't sit up and suffer in silence at any rate. And certainly not when it comes to your passion and your business and what you are really saying that you want to work on and what you're really saying that you want to bring into fruition. Don't cheat yourself like that. So Kenzie gives her own personal testimony about, y'all, I ain't good with numbers. I am literally dyscalculate. So I can't remember the numbers that Kenzie was using verbatim. But Candy just basically tells her how when she first started out with the whole business thing, she didn't have employees to help her with all of the nicks and crannies of business. She was trying to do everything for herself, and it was causing her to come out of pocket a whole lot more than she would have to if she knew how to manage and direct and cycle her money better. And how somebody basically had to tell her, build your bag and then use the contents of that bag to pay for some employees to get some things done for you, and then they gonna make you more money and you gonna make more money and your money gonna make more money, and it's more money, more money, more money. And they all come to the consensus that it's time for Sheree to put up and shut up, to stop talking about September, spring, summer, and go ahead and do it. Child, so Mr. Piranha from the Bad Guys, his wife shows up for Toon. And if y'all don't know who Mr. Piranha is, look up the Bad Guys and look for the Piranha, who's played by the guy that was on She's Gotta Have It, the series. And don't get me wrong, I think Fatum is a very pretty lady in the face. But child, when she gets mad and that hair start flying and them eyes start bucking out and them teeth start snarling, honey, she look just like a piranha. So if you hear me say Mrs. Piranha, I'm talking about Fatum. So Mrs. Piranha shows up, and I guess it's a lukewarm response, but she hugs Marlo and greets everybody, and you know that Drew is about ready to throw up because Fatum just gets the girl sick. And don't get me wrong, I understand why. I just find Platoon funny, and I find her to be good TV for the meantime. So now they are officially gearing up to go to the van so they can go to their gem mining excursion. And Marlo tells Kenya that she wants to have a word with her first before the two of them head down to the vans. And Kenya's like, yeah, I hear you. I don't think about it. We'll see. And Marlo started talking crazy. Oh, you gonna see, or you gonna da 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 da. All her power play, narcissist energy and antics. So Kenya gets playful on her ass and just starts running and gallivanting through the house, similar to how she was at Sheree's slumber party situation, just running around being playful or whatnot. And Marlo decides to chase her through the house like a kid. And we hear a bit of like some interesting things happening. We also see like the cameraman kind of rushing up to get their footage, and it's also like they were trying to make sure nothing physical happened. Now a lot of people say they don't think that Marlo will get physical with Kenya, but Marlo gives me a vibe kind of like Natalie Nunn from Bad Girls Club, where she will be saying some really sinister things in a kind of playful, nice tone and walking towards you with her big self. And that she would put her hands on you very aggressively and be yelling, stop touching me, stop touching me, I'm not trying to fight you, I'm not trying to fight you. And the whole time they're holding you down with their hand around their neck, telling you to get off of them. That's what Marlo gives me. And she probably was getting passive aggressively physical with Kenya, because Kenya was up there like, get off of me, get off of me, get off of me. And I just don't want people to be fooled by somebody having a smile on their face or sounding like they being playful. You gotta pay attention to what they have shown you in the past and pay attention to what they are doing and actually listen to the words that come out of their mouth. And the shit that comes out of Marlo's mouth is very violent, nasty, and sinister. So I'ma leave that at that. So they finally get regrouped to the rest of the ladies, and Marlo is still talking crazy, and Kenya is just telling her like, yo, just talk to me like a respectful human being, and we can get much further than what you're trying to do with all this hoopla. And Candy is trying to tell Kenya that she doing too much and just go talk to her. And I want Candy to shut the fuck up. Because while it may seem like just a simple conversation that to be had, again, when somebody shows you who they are, especially if they show you multiple times throughout multiple years, you have to believe who they are. Or as Ayan from Dubai says, if somebody shows you that their color is blue, don't be trying to make it orange. It's blue. And especially when Kenya says that Marlo reminds her of Mark. And child, they both have Mar in their name, which comes from Mars, which is also masculine energy, aggressive energy. You know, masculinity is not just aggression, but aggression is an element of masculinity. And there is a time and a place for it. But when you misuse the aggression, that's when it becomes toxic masculinity. And that is exactly what Marlo and Mark give. Marlo being quite male identified and Mark being a man himself, misusing masculine energy, which is toxic and abusive. And if you know anything about abusers, then you know that majority of them have sociopathic tendencies. And what that means is they use sociology and socialism and social circles to weaponize all of that against whoever they want to victimize. So the way Marlo be trying to garner sympathy, and the way that Marlo seems to always like want to go to this and that person to tell one warped ass side of a story and play victim, much like how she did with her nephews, you on this show talking about all of their imperfections and whatnot, and you're playing victim in the story when you are supposed to be the parent. It don't work like that. You start shit and then burst into tears as if you are not the one that started the shit, like a Karen. That's sociopathic activity. The shit that Karens do. That's sociopathic activity. And Marlo, having sociopathic tendencies, would have very well taken Kenya on some one-on-one shit, did a bunch of provocative ass shit, and then want to get the crowd involved when Kenya starts to snap on her, and then try to play victim as if Kenya started with her. And because everybody wasn't around to see it, then it would just be Marlo's word versus Kenya's. And Marlo would probably want to burst into tears and say, oh, I was just trying to talk to her. I was just trying to be nice. I was just trying to da 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 da. Like, no, that's why Kenya did not want to go and talk to her privately. Talk to me in front of everybody else so that everybody can be a witness to the bullshit that you put down. You're not fixing to take me into no private setting to have a one-on-one conversation so that when we leave this bitch, you can spin your own narrative of what you think ought to be the truth. And because Kenya played her dust, because Kenya did not do what Marlo wanted her to do, we were able to clearly see who the issue is here. And it is Marlo. Because Kenya acknowledged her when she got there. She mingled with her a bit. And Marlo act like the girl ain't say nothing to her. Kenya is walking around, living her best life, giving her best energy, and Marlo is bothered, chasing her around the house, being mad and miserable, looking for an issue, holding up people, trying to put everybody else in the middle of their bullshit. It's Marlo. And let me point out another sociopathic tendency also, because like I said, and you see the screenshot that I put up and the video that I put up in this video of Kenya mingling a little bit with Marlo. And Marlo didn't go to none of the other ladies in the house to say, Kenya didn't acknowledge me. She went and called somebody that's not there to say, Kenya didn't acknowledge me. Why? Because if she had went to somebody in the house, then they would have been like, well, what was that just happened in the hallway? Manipulative, sociopathic antics. So everybody starts walking outside, and Marlo is trying to pitch a miserable ass fit or whatever. She walking over to the driver of the car, talking about, you see that girl over there in a white, talking about Kenya. Don't let her in. She's not going with us. She's not going with us. Da 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 da. Kenya got in the car, and Marlo wants to hold everybody up in the parking lot for 2 hours because she is trying to power play Kenya off of the trip. Because as we can see, the truth of the matter is, when you break down the fourth wall, Marlo does not have the power to kick Kenya off of a trip. Not only because Kenya is the real OG in this situation, but also because production is sponsoring this trip. Marlo helped plan it, but production is sponsoring the trip. And all of y'all are employees. So they are not sending Kenya home just because you don't like her. Y'all gonna have to figure it out. And I'm trying to figure out why this is Sanya in the picture right here, all up in the window, trying to convince Kenya to go talk to Marlo and make amends and all of this other shit. And Kenya gets her all the way together and says, ma'am, you know how you felt about Drew? How you felt like Drew was moving inappropriate and not to your liking, so you separated yourself from her? That's the same thing that's going on here now. So you want to understand about that, and you understand that, then why don't you understand this? Get up out my face. And everybody is pretty much in and out of the cars, all up in the driveway and whatnot, lollygagging because Marlo is being extra. And she and Kenya get into an exchange, and on Candy Speak On It, Candy said that Marlo was saying a bunch of disrespectful stuff and that some of it concerns Brooklyn. So Marlo, but she said that it was cut out. But what we saw on the show is Marlo playing victim, of course, and talking about, oh, nobody's going to take me away from my nephews. Nobody's going to take my nephews away from me. And Kenya looks her smooth over the shoulder and says, yeah, because you gave them away. Period. Dot. Period. Dot. And I'm not mad at it. Some folks is talking about, oh, Kenya did too much by saying all that. Child, ain't nothing no worse than Marlo getting on this show, taking us all up in the boys' room, showing us all their imperfections, putting the camera all up in their face to talk about that so she can play victim and then say that she kicked them the fuck out, told them to get the fuck out, or whatever, what have you. The way that Marlo carry on and talk about them on this show is much more embarrassing and hurtful. And the fact of ain't no telling what the fuck she be doing when the cameras ain't around. All of that is much worse than Kenya stating a fact. And now let me give Drew a couple of flowers for this episode. So she is over there, mediating with Marlo and whatnot, trying to convince her to see the light and stop acting stupid. And Sanya take note. Because Drew didn't go over here and build Marlo up at the expense of throwing Kenya under the bus. She went over, was simply speaking nice to Marlo, saying, girl, let's just go. Let's just have fun. Let's just have a good time. I'll ride with you. And da-da-da-da. That's a true definition and depiction of being neutral. You see that, Sonya? But what Drew is good for is shading the shit out of someone else who has nothing to do with nothing in this moment. And we see her saying, I'll go with you, Marlo, but I'm not riding with this bitch. And who is this bitch? Mrs. Piranha. And me, Monyetta, and Kenzie had the same reaction, like, whoop, there it is. The chat has reignited. And we have Drew being held back by a man that looks like he's enjoying the feel. I ain't gonna lie, Drew looks soft, so he probably is. And we have Mrs. Piranha going ham, screaming, wanna fight. And Candy confused as hell because Mrs. Piranha is screeching and Drew is barking, saying go pee in the bush. Saying that Mrs. Piranha is Sheree's lapdog. And Sheree silly as hell saying, oh, I don't have a lapdog. I have friends. Sheree, no. What you have is a goldfish that morphs into a piranha when she gets upset. And Candy is like, what? The barking, pee in the bush, lapdogs. Look, I know y'all real bitches, but what is that? And for real, what is this? Because Marlo goes back in the house to cry with no tears. And Sheree and Sanya take their long heads up there to comfort her. AKA kiss her ass. And saying you just want to be next to whoever is getting the most camera time at the time. And while Marlo is acting like the world is doing something to her, the other ladies are outside jumping on the trampoline, getting they life. And I guess Marlo recognized that she only had 2 people in her corner, which means that the other ladies were surrounding Kenya in some form of fashion. So she can't beat them. She gotta join them. So she hops up and goes in, oh, Kenya can come, fine, it's okay, she can come, just don't say anything to me. And Marlo, ain't that why you was mad in the first place? Because you was like so convinced that she hadn't said anything to you. You really wanted her attention. So which one is it? So then Marlo decides that she wants to jumperoo, and her and Sheree do their jumpy thing. And I guess the endorphins and the jumpy got them all geared up to be nice and play with the other kids. So they leave, they get to the place with the excursion, and child, it is giving raw sis. Okay? Raw sis. And your boy who owns the place, no, he is not welcoming. And granted, he could be a bit perturbed because they was about 2 hours and some change late on some petty shit. But also, you see Kenya handing him that Trump sign that she conveniently, accidentally on purpose, knocked down and politely handed back to him. So that as he gets his press and promo, the whole world may know that he is a big no with his Trump sign all up in there. And before they get to the rock collection, we get some images of the things that he got up and threw there. I need me some of all of that. And so we get out there, he's showing them how to do And honey, I thought that they was gonna be like up in the ground, up in the caves, like the twins from Recess Kids. You know what I'm saying? With their hard hats and tools, doing actual mining. They is playing in dirt, extracting the rocks, which is a part of the mining process. But this ain't that. And honestly, the scene probably would have been much better and much more plentiful had they been actually doing that. But it is what it is. They got some nice little cute gems and stones and crystals and things. And child, Mrs. Piranha got a little chat started with Drew because she didn't want to sit next to her. And it's like, girl, pipe down, calm down, calm down. So they pick up and pack up to leave. Marlo apologizes to the man on behalf of, Mrs. Piranha and the other foolishness. And honestly, I want to apologize to him about nothing. He ain't part of himself about that Trump sign. So trump it. And so we get back to the house, and Marlo is pulling more power play sociopathic antics, calling herself packing up because she wants to leave. She wants to discontinue the trip because it's not about her and nobody's supporting her. And it's just like, no, the person that you really want a piece of is not giving it to you. So now you're mad. And you also really mad that nobody, I mean, you had Sheree and Sanya like in your corner trying to speak you up, but they weren't barking at Kenya as well. They also wanted to mingle with Kenya as well. Everybody was pretty much excited and enthusiastic and wanted Kenya to be there and was giving Kenya good energy. And not only is that sociopathic, but it's also narcissistic as fuck. Because you bring everybody on a trip and expect all of the attention to be on you. No, it's a group trip and it's a cash trip. Y'all are on TV. Y'all are an ensemble cast. So, no, you can't have all of the attention. And also, when you are wrong and you are an adult and you are the parent in the situation, ain't nobody really trying to convince you that you're not wrong for kicking your nephews out because you got worked up. And see, the thing about this too, Marlo, you might have would have gotten more support and more sympathy if you had asked for help and assistance and a shoulder to cry on instead of kicking them out. If you had confided in the group and garnished all that sympathy, like, oh, I need help, I just don't know, da 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 da, instead of telling them to just get the fuck out and then looking for sympathy, yeah, no, that's not how that works. So Marlo calls everybody down for a group meeting or whatever, basically to tell them that they are getting the same treatment that her sister and her nephews got. I'm tired of y'all, so y'all gotta get the fuck out. And in other words, also, I can't be selfish and narcissistic and sociopathic in peace. So y'all have to leave. Y'all wouldn't gang up with me to bully Kenya. So y'all have to leave. Y'all wouldn't soak up all the camera time with me and ice out Kenya. So y'all have to leave. Another example of her weaponizing sociology and socialism and social instances against who she wants to victimize. She wants them and she wants Kenya to feel, okay, let me put it like this. She wants Kenya to feel bad for quote unquote ruining the trip for everybody. And she wants everybody else to feel bad for not enabling her bullshit. And Candy's disposition in this pic is exactly mine over this scene and over Marlo and her entire foolishness. And look at Drew. The whole time Marlo is talking, she just sitting up there eating her salad. Child, everybody is completely unbothered and unfazed by Marlo and her fuck shit. And y'all, Miss Piranha and Drew actually have some things in common because Miss Piranha pipes up to apologize to Marlo for her part in everything. And in the midst, tells Drew to shut the fuck up. And Drew throws a bone at her. Now, Drew, girl, you walking around with bones in your pocket, honey? Or did you send one of your 15 assistants to the store to pick up that for you real quick, right fast? And child, somebody, I think it was Sheree, said, is that Ralph's dildo? If y'all don't stop. And even if it is, he don't have to be gay. It could be a kink. Let's not kink shame. And even if he is got some gay tendencies or whatever, let's not gay shame either. Stop using gayness and kinks and all of that as an insult. It's tied and through at this point. So they get their foolishness quieted down or whatever, and Marlo stands amongst them and is basically like, y'all done stressed me out. I feel worse than I did when I left, so I called some cars and y'all gotta go. Marlo, you stressed yourself out because you don't know how to just not be obsessed with Kenya. You don't know how to ignore her. You don't know how to just simply be cordial and keep it moving. You stressed yourself out. You worked yourself up. This is just like when people think that they can move out of their state and that's just going to magically fix all of their problems. No, because if the problem is within you, then you just taking your problem somewhere else. And then, of course, it's going to be emphasized and what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be maximized because all you did was pick up all your demons and take them somewhere else. So not only did you spread the demons around, but now you done multiplied them because you just took them somewhere else. And then you heightened it for yourself by getting worked up, chasing Kenya around, starting a fight with her, and saying that piss po prayer that you did. God don't like ugly girl. The trip could have really been fun. The trip could have really been great. They could have had some good scenes with a good balance of fun, funniness, and drama. But Marlo, you just have to do the most. You always just have to do the most and function with this lack-ass mentality and just be fucking miserable and spread your miserableness all over the fucking place. And that's exactly what you did. So if you mad at anybody, be mad at yourself. If you blaming anybody for how the trip went and discontinuing and all of that, it's because of you and decisions that you made, not nobody else. It's your own damn fault. So Marietta is just trying to ask her, so it ain't no way that we can like make this right. Is this something personally that I did? Girl, no. Marlo is just miserable and crazy as hell. That's it. We hope to see you next season, Marietta. We hope that you honestly get Marlo's peach. Please, you ain't gotta snatch it from him, but just go take it from out of her purse when ain't nobody looking, Marietta. And then you come back. And you can even steal her tagline if you want to. We will gladly welcome you with open arms. But y'all, that was the shit. I have milked this cow dry. I appreciate y'all merch for embracing me with your divine timing. And if you was feeling the entertaining and enlightening vibe, then baby, do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you all light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.